Oh, hey folks, Uncle Troy here, just doing a little preventative maintenance on the old hard drive. I just got a call reminding me I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and that reminds me of the last doctor's appointment I had, which is a pretty interesting story. But first, let's say hello to some new subscribers.
So actually, this is going to be my first doctor's appointment this year, uh, and I've been putting it off as long as I can because of the disappointment I had in my doctor's appointment last year. Let me explain what was going on. I have diabetes and some other medical conditions that require me to take what you call maintenance medications. Pills I have to take every single day to keep me alive, more or less. Also have to check my blood sugar every day. It's what this little meter's for. Right now my blood sugar is just fine. I just took it. It's like 104, which is within my little range. I'm supposed to be taking it. But my doctor wants to send my blood off to the lab every so often. So I have to make appointments every 3 to 6 months depending on how my blood sugar's been running. And last time I went to the doctor, well, I won't say last time, time before last I went to the doctor, they set up an appointment for like 3 months hence, and when it came time for my appointment, I had to work that day, so I called up to put off the appointment. So they were supposed to put it off to the next week or whatever. And then the doctor's office called to say the doctor was going to be out of town that week. We put it off to the week after. I think the week after I had some family thing. And so for maybe a month and a half, 2 months, 3 months, I'm not sure how long it was actually, I'd call up every week or so to try to make an appointment, and for one reason or another, we could not get me in to see the doctor on that particular day. So I was a few months behind on my appointments, and so when I did finally get to see the doctor, I'd been without my medications for a while, so naturally my blood sugar and other things they test for were off because I had not been taking my medicine as prescribed. And of course, she jumped all over me for not taking my medicine, but I couldn't take the medicine because the doctor's office had not refilled the medicine. Usually I go to the pharmacy, say I need a refill, such and such, and they'll say, oh, you're out of refills. No problem. We'll call up the doctor's office, get them to authorize the refill. Or I would call the doctor's office myself and say, I'm about to run out of such and such. And they say, no problem. We'll call your pharmacy and authorize a refill. And I had been trying to do that the whole time I'd been trying to set up these appointments. And they kept saying, oh, we'll call the doctor's office, or the doctor's office would say, we'll call the pharmacy. This is me calling, by the way, phone. And they kept saying that, but then when I'd go by the pharmacy a day or two later, they'd say, oh, they haven't faxed us this, they didn't respond to our emails, no, they haven't called. So, we start the cycle all over again. And it ended up being able to get in to see the doctor before they actually got the refills. So when I got in to see the doctor, and she jumped all over me for not taking my medicine as prescribed, and I told her all this, she says, no, according to your records here, you only called in once for one drug, and we refilled that. And it's true, they did refill one of my drugs at one point. And I said, well, actually, yeah, but I called in for like all 5 of my drugs at that time, and y'all said you're going to refill all of them, but you didn't. That's the only one the pharmacy would give me, because according to the pharmacy, whoever they talked to at the doctor's office said that the doctor was refusing to refill my prescriptions until she saw me and checked my lab work. Which the doctor, of course, then says, no, I would never say anything like that. It's vitally important you take your medicine on time. So round and around we went. So I was confused at why the doctor was saying I hadn't called when I had called several times, and why the doctor was blaming me for not getting in to see her sooner when it was mostly their fault. I mean, admittedly, there was a day or two when they could have seen me that I was unavailable, but there was many more days that I wanted to come in to see them that they said the doctor was not available, the doctor was out of town, doctor had a full schedule, but if I wanted to show up at 8 o'clock in the morning and sit around all day hoping she could fit me in, I could do that. Not going to happen. So that went round and around for a while. So finally she quit, I won't say yelling at me, but quit speaking harshly toward me, and sent me off to the lab to get tested and have all my blood drawn and pee in a cup and etc. And that's when I realized something was wrong, because the girl spent a lot of time filling out some paper forms, whereas in the past she had sat down at a computer, typed about 3 sentences, and then started taking my blood. And she said, well, sorry, the computers are down. We're having to do all the paperwork by hand. I thought, how very odd. So after the vampire finished drawing my blood, I went out to the registration area, talked to the person at the front desk to set up an appointment to see the doctor in 3 months hence. And he said, well, sorry, we can't make any appointments. The computer's down. And I said, really? How long's that been? And he said, oh, since we moved into the new place about 3 months ago, which had been about as long as I'd been trying to close in, computers have been up and down. We've not been able to set up appointments. We've not been able to log the lab work. We've not been able to do this. We've not been able to do that. And I said, would that affect you being able to call in prescriptions to the pharmacy? And he says, well, yes, if we couldn't pull up your record on the computer system, we wouldn't know what medications to order for you. And that basically explained everything for the last 3 months, how I've not been able to, set up an appointment, how the doctor's always out or always busy, and why they had no record of me calling. It was all because the computers were down. So I said, well, that's too bad. So when should I call to set up an appointment? Oh, well, we should have this finished any day now. This, the computer switchover should be finished any time. Call back tomorrow. So I tried calling back tomorrow. No go. Next week, no go. The next month, no go. Finally, Monday of this week, I called and said, can you get me in this week? And they said, sure, why wouldn't we? Because your computer's down. Oh, no, I don't know where you got the idea the computer is down. The computers are just fine. I said, really? The computers weren't up and down more than a cheap something that's up and down a lot? Yo-yo. Let's say yo-yo. Weren't up and down like a yo-yo for the last 3 months? Oh, no, sir. I don't know where you got that idea. And I'm like, from somebody at the reception desk who sounds an awful lot like you. Yeah, is where I got that idea. But I was able to set up an appointment, and it's actually going to be tomorrow. So by the time you see this video, I will have already seen the doctor, and I got a pretty good idea what's going to happen. Now, I've been taking my medicines pretty close to right, and I have been monitoring my blood sugar pretty close to where I'm supposed to, but it's never enough for the doctor. And actually, my plan was to see a different doctor, because this doctor, just a wee bit upset with her that she had blamed me for their computer problems, basically, and basically saying that I wasn't taking care of my health by not coming to see her and not requesting refills when I had made every attempt to come see them. I had attempted to get the refills, so I was just a tiny bit upset with her, and I thought about going to the other doctor in the practice. Let's call him Dr. A. Dr. A and Dr. B. I had started out seeing Dr. A, but Dr. A is from another country and has an accent, and I have trouble understanding him, and he has trouble understanding me with my accent. By the way, this accent is Tennessee, not Texas, not Kentucky, not Alabama, not North Carolina. This is Tennessee. So wherever he was from, I'm going to say something like Romania. And so his Romanian accent was hard for these ears, and my Tennessee accent was hard for his ears. So we had trouble literally understanding each other. We would say words that we'd have to stop, go back, find a synonym, spell it, that sort of thing. So that was just a tad hard to deal with. So when I got a chance to switch to Dr. B and see Dr. B instead of Dr. A, I jumped at the chance, because Dr. B spoke better English and could understand my English better. Problem is, I don't think Dr. B is as good a doctor as Dr. A. Dr. B, when she didn't understand me, it was because she wasn't really paying attention to me, or would pretty much discount anything I say. I had problems with side effects of a medication. She told me to stop taking them, and then the next time I come to see her, she berated me for not taking that medication, even though she had told me not to take it because of the side effects. And it turns out she kind of listened to that, said, well, if that's bothering you, stop taking it, and then had not documented it, or she documented it, hadn't got transcribed because of the computer problems. But basically, pretty much everything I would bring up, she would discount. Any complaints I'd bring to her, she'd kind of discount. I know I have diabetes. I know diabetes is going to be responsible for some of my health problems. But I also know that there are some things wrong with me that are not diabetes. So if I bring a complaint to you that, as far as I know, is not related at all to diabetes, don't say, well, let's get your blood sugar down and then see if that makes any difference. diabetes, I've read up on it. I know what it can cause. I know what side effects of the medications are. You know, if I'm bringing something to you, it's because I have already researched it and decided it's not related to the diabetes, or possibly could not be. That's why I'm talking to the doctor about it. So this last time I called up, I asked to see Dr. A instead of Dr. B. I figured having to stop and re-speak my sentences every now and again because my accent got the better of me was a small convenience to pay, because he actually tried to pay attention, actually listened to what I said, and would keep my opinion in mind as he prescribed my treatment. And it turns out Dr. A retired 2 weeks ago. So now I only have Dr. B, or some Dr. C, I'll assume, that there's more than one doctor there, that I know absolutely nothing about. So what to do. So tomorrow, 8 o'clock, bright and early, on my day off, I'm going to be down there having them stick needles in my arm to try to draw some blood and figure out how my blood sugar's running, whatever. Hopefully get refills for all my prescriptions. Go to the pharmacy, shell out a couple $100 for a couple months supply. Make a mental note to call up the mail order place that can give me a 3-month supply for the cost of a 1-month supply, if I can ever get around to actually setting that up, because every month when I go to the pharmacy and shell out that money, I think I could save a lot of money if I got that mail order thing set up. I really need to do that. And so basically I'm already looking forward to a big disappointment. I've also already set aside, I've then lost them now, haven't I? Set aside my collection of magazines that I take with me, because all their magazines down at the doctor's offices are years old, which strikes me as odd because they just moved to a new office 6 months ago. Yet I guess they brought their years old magazines with them because they're still years old. So I bring my years old magazines, because they've got like Field and Stream and automotive magazines and women's magazines. I bring electronics magazines and electronics catalogs and computer magazines and mix them in with the rest of them. Just my way of donating. Also keeps me from having to take them to the garbage can. So I'm looking forward to a big doctor's disappointment tomorrow. And by the time you see this, I'll have already seen the doctor. Perhaps I'll have a better story to tell you next time. Perhaps not. We'll see. In the meantime, this is Uncle Troy signing out. Please have a good night.